Hello, this is a video about how to set up a mask trigger with amunets dungeon assets. So as you can see, you need these items. It's called a ADA trigger mask. And then to trigger the door, you need a ADA trigger target. And then you need two walls, which are called DM wall levers. And you need two DM button levers. And of course a door and a door frame. So to set this up, the best way to go about it, like I always do, I take a pen and paper and I write down the name of these triggers because you need a system to remember when you go from this trigger to this trigger, uh, remembering, oh yeah, it was called like this or that, so you can check on the piece of paper. So the first thing you want to do is you name your trigger targets. So if we interact with it, we see the name of the trigger itself is called trigger 15. I call it trigger 15 because it's the 15th trigger in my server that I use. The next one will be simply called trigger 16. So you know, oh yeah, trigger, yeah, that's the thing on the door frame. So you name him trigger 15. Then you go to your mask trigger, which can be placed anywhere in the area. This one has to be in the right position because it only has one foundation. Well, it's basically in the middle of a foundation. So if you would draw an imaginary foundation around this trigger, this one is in the center of this foundation then. So that gives you an idea of the range. And also it goes a little bit below the trigger to trigger trap doors and stuff. So we call this one trigger 15. Then we go to the mask trigger. We edit it. And there you can see trigger name others. So that is the other, well, it's just the trigger on the door. We type in trigger 15, and now when this trigger sends a signal out to the one on the door frame, the one on the door frame will recognize this signal and actuate the door to open it or close it or whatever. And then the trigger name itself is where the signal comes from. So that is, we call here mask 1. You can name it whatever you want, but it has to be the same name than in the levers, because the levers will send a signal to the trigger mask, and once the value is completed, the mask will send a signal to the trigger to open the door. So we call this trigger name self mask 1. Now you have seen these numbers below it. Oops. If you interact with the levers, now first we have to go to the trigger mask. So let's say you want to set up a door, but people have to meet two conditions to open this door. So these two levers have to be in the right position to open the door. I will quickly show you. Always go in first person when interacting with it. The developer is working on making the hitboxes bigger. But as you can see, these two triggers are down and the door opens. Now, how does this work? How does the trigger know? How does the mask know that the levers are in the right position to open the door? Well, as you can see, it works with values, a positive value and a negative value. And the total amount of value has to be met for the trigger to be, for the mask trigger to be triggered. If you see here, my value up empty false is -4, and the value down filled true is 4. If we look at this lever here, the trigger value up is -2 and the trigger value down is 2. So then, if we have put that in the levers, then we go and have a look at the trigger mask. As you can see, when the value is up, meaning that if both levers are up and the result of the two levers is -6, we get a 0 value basically, and the door will close. If we have 2 plus 4, like we saw in the levers at the bottom, we have a value of 1. 1 meaning a signal will be sent to the trigger on top of the door to open it. And the value of the mask is 6. Let's say I want to add a third lever. Then you have to double the trigger value. Don't just add like -2 or +2 extra, because then you add basically a third option to open the door. What you want is to create it's a chain. If 3 triggers are in the right position, the door will open. And this value all of a sudden becomes, so we have -2 plus 2 from the first trigger, -4 plus 4 from the second, sorry, not from the trigger, from the lever, -2 plus 2, and then -4 plus 4, and then all of a sudden it doubles. It becomes a value of -8 plus 8, and this continues infinitely. So the next one will be -16 plus 16. And every time you have to add up all those numbers to get the trigger value mask. Now we have 2 levers. One is +2, the other one is +4, meaning the value of the mask is 6. If we want to add a third trigger, the value becomes 8 and -8. So 8 plus 6, plus 4 from the first lever and +2 from the third lever. That means we have a value of +14. That's basically it. You just, if you push the levers up, you see now the value is distorted, I would like to call it, because this one is on -4 and this one is on +2. So -4 plus 2 is -2. There's no value that completes the mask to send a signal to the trigger, and the door closes. You see now it's negative, and we saw in the mask the value is 0, so it's not going to send a signal. Only if we put both levers in the right position and create a value of 6. All right, that's it. I hope I didn't confuse you too much, but thanks for watching.